Today I'm going to give you the ultimate weight loss blueprint depending on what your weight loss goal is, because if you're looking to lose anywhere between 100 pounds plus or less than 20, your mentality and your diet is going to be completely different depending on your current status of metabolic health and how much weight you're actually looking to lose. So I'm going to break this video up into 3 categories depending on what your weight loss goal is and give you the blueprint of what your diet should look like on a daily basis depending on what your goal is. So stick around to the end of this video because the info I'm about to share with you is being sold in most courses today. And I'm gonna give it to you for absolutely free. So category number 1 is if you're looking to lose 100 pounds or more, right? And the most common mistake most guys make if they're looking to lose 100 pounds or more is they prioritize carbohydrates, which doesn't make any sense because you most likely got there in the first place by consuming carbohydrates. Now, I'm not saying natural carbs, but most likely processed carbohydrates, sugars, and seed oils, because the ultimate cause of weight gain in the first place isn't necessarily your caloric intake, it is hyperinsulinemia, which in simple terms means insulin staying elevated for hours on end. And if you haven't watched any of my videos, you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Bobby O'Brien. I help career-driven men just like you lose weight consistently, and we take more of a hormonal-based approach. So I'll go ahead and drop the video below on what is insulin so you can get more of a simplistic and scientific analysis on what the hormone is and what it does in the human body in terms of accumulating body fat, but I'll go ahead and explain a little bit of that there, right? So if you're hyperinsulinemic or you have hyperinsulinemia, that just means your insulin levels are elevated for hours on end, and this hormone stores body fat, right? It can either store it around your skin or it can store it in the visceral region around your organs if insulin levels stay elevated for long enough to where you become insulin resistant. So if you're somebody that does need to lose 100 pounds or more, we may not even have to look at your blood work, such as your hemoglobin A1C or fasting insulin, to know that you may be insulin resistant. Of course, it would be nice to know, but you're more than likely already going down the wrong path in terms of insulin dysregulation, which in simple terms really just means that you are eating foods that are spiking insulin through the roof, that are spiking your blood sugar through the roof, and are not serving you well. So if you're already in that position, even natural carbohydrate sources from fruits and vegetables are not going to serve you well at all because insulin is already stimulated and shot through the roof. So we have to modulate and kind of fix the function of insulin first and then transition into eating more carbohydrates. I'm not one to say that carbohydrates are evil, but there are certain circumstances like these where you definitely need to limit your carbohydrate intake to a certain extent. You don't have to turn the notch all the way down to 0, but you need to have it somewhat low, right? So even a carnivore or ketogenic diet, which I know sounds somewhat controversial, would be a good idea to start initially. Lose your first 20 to 30 pounds, and then you can transition into adding more carbohydrates back in. So Chris, for example, actually started working with me around July or so, and he was 236 when he started. He lost 36 pounds in 3.5 months, and he started off doing a carnivore diet. But once he got to 210, he lost his final 10 pounds, adding more in the way of carbohydrates back in. But what we did not do is we did not go from 0 to 200 grams right off the bat. We slowly scaled his carbohydrate intake up week in and week out so he can continue to lose weight and kind of build what's called his glucose tolerance. Because if you've gone 4 or 5 months without eating carbohydrates at all, you eat a ketogenic diet or carnivore diet, whatever it may be, and all of a sudden your body sees 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates, even from a natural source, your body is not necessarily going to respond well to that fuel, and it will most likely store it as body fat because you're going to be ultra sensitive to it. So we want to kind of build up that tolerance and get you to the point to where you can still include carbohydrates but still be losing weight, which is exactly what happened with Chris, right? So right around 210, we started to include carbohydrates back in and slowly scaled it over time. Week in and week out, started with 20, then scaled to 50 and even 100. Now he's doing anywhere between 100 and 150 grams per day, and he got down to 200 pounds. And now we're working together again. We stopped for a few months, we started working together again, and now he's down to 195, eating 100 to 150 grams of carbohydrates each day, slowly pushing to 180, which is his ultimate weight loss goal, which I will certainly help him get there. So that's category number 1. Category number 2 is if you're looking to lose anywhere between 50 to 100 pounds, right? So if you're no longer in the 100 pounds plus range, we definitely still want to keep the carbohydrate notch somewhat low, but we really want to double down on dietary fat, right? So saturated fat and monounsaturated fat, eating animal foods, higher fat, higher protein foods that are going to give us this good insulin response, because that's a mistake that people make across the board. They just don't fill their plate up enough with high quality animal protein, especially animal protein that has a lot in the way of dietary fat. You certainly can eat some lean meats, but I would not prioritize it, because if you're missing out on all the saturated fat content and monounsaturated fat content that comes from, fatty cuts of meat like ribeye, or let's say, fatty cuts of fish such as mackerel, if you're missing out on those options, you're not getting, one, as much in the way of satiety, and two, whenever you eat dietary fat, whether it be from monounsaturated fat or saturated fat, you literally get no insulin response. And once again, your insulin response dictates how much body fat you lose or gain. So if insulin doesn't go up at all whenever you eat pure saturated fat, your probability, your likelihood of storing body fat and adding to your weight loss goal is 0. So even if you were to eat a whole stick of butter, for example, which no one is going to do, your probability, your likelihood, once again, of storing body fat is literally 0. So I would definitely double down on fat intake universally. If you are somebody that's looking to lose 20 pounds or 100 plus, the carbohydrate notch is just going to be slowly turning further and further up as you lose more and more weight. So category number 3 is if you're looking to lose anywhere between 50 to 20 pounds or less. So now we're talking. Now you can definitely start to take that carbohydrate notch up a little bit. But once again, if you've been on a weight loss journey for a long time, we've still got to slowly scale that up over time. So if you're at 80 grams right now, just continue to move slowly and you will get to 200, I promise. One thing I have to kind of emphasize here is that you definitely want to make sure that you really just eat natural carbohydrates, right? Fruits and vegetables. Foods that you can use for fast absorbing fuel in your workouts, and foods that are not going to stimulate insulin for hours on end. If you're somebody that's looking to lose 100 pounds plus, that's different, right? You're already hyperinsulinemic most likely. But if you're somebody that's looking to lose 20 to 50 pounds, your metabolic health has improved to some extent for sure if you've lost that much weight. And you can definitely start to include fast absorbing carbohydrates that are a little bit higher in fructose, but once again, just be wary of this and slowly scale it out over time. So if you're somebody that has this specific goal of looking to lose 20 to 50 pounds, you could definitely start to include higher fructose fruit as well. So watermelons, pineapples, and mangoes may not be completely out of the question, but if you are in this position right now, I would not recommend breaking your fast, for example, with high fructose fruit, and always eat your animal foods first to get that good initial insulin response, and then start to eat your pineapples or bowls of mangoes or whatever you choose as a side of fruit. And if you are somebody that is currently working out right now, especially if you're doing weight training multiple times per week, and especially if you are somebody that's noticing that your energy is depleted in your workouts and you're already eating carbohydrates, you can start to include some more, and maybe even some higher fructose carbs that you can use to kind of benefit the absorption of glucose in the muscles. And this will kind of allow for your muscles to use that short-term fuel more efficiently and be able to use more of it, so you can go through your entire workout without feeling like you want to rip your brain out of your head with chronic brain fog like you would with doing a ketogenic or carnivore diet and doing a vigorous workout. So with that being said, kind of going back to category number 1 here, if you are somebody that is looking to lose 100 pounds plus and you are working out right now, you will be able to get down in weight if you stay consistent, I promise. But you absolutely have to put yourself in a position where you have realistic workouts. 2-hour-long workouts with HIIT are going to absolutely plague you and drain you. So if you're somebody that is in that position, I would definitely prioritize having realistic workouts of 15 to 30 minutes that mainly include weight training, so you can ensure that you get a big boost in your metabolic rate and that you can put yourself in a position slowly to boost your metabolism and be able to use fuel that comes into your body in a more efficient way, to the point to where you can start to slowly introduce carbohydrates back in, because now you're metabolizing food at a much faster rate. So just to break it all down here, there's a few points that I would definitely recommend taking away from this video. Number 1 is that you want to ensure that you slowly turn your carbohydrate notch up slowly as you lose more and more weight. Do not grab the notch and crank it all the way up if you are, slowly losing more and more weight and you have a weight loss goal of 100 pounds in total and you've been eating 20 grams of carbohydrates per day, don't just go straight to 200, slowly scale it up as you lose more and more weight. Point number 2 is to always prioritize your insulin response over everything if you want to lose weight on a consistent weekly basis. Because if you don't, and if you have literally no insulin response mindset per se, you're not really thinking about what you're eating, you're not really thinking about what the foods you're eating are going to do to insulin, you're going to put yourself in a position where you'll eat foods that will spike insulin and will put you in a position to gain more and more weight. So always having the mentality of, okay, what is what I'm about to eat going to do to insulin? And depending on my weight loss goal or which category I fit into here, what should my carbohydrate notch look like right now? And what should I slowly scale it up to depending on what my diet has looked like before and where I want it to be in the future? Point number 3 is to always double down on eating saturated fat because the insulin response is literally 0. You get no insulin response when you eat dietary fat. So whether you're looking to lose 100 pounds plus or less than 20 pounds, always prioritize eating more in the way of dietary fat so you can have literally no chance of spiking insulin at all whatsoever, and you're going to get so much more in the way of satiety in comparison to other macronutrients. Way more so in comparison to carbohydrates. So now you know exactly what you need to do to actually lose weight on a consistent basis no matter where you are right now with your weight loss goal, right? But one thing that you definitely need to take away from this video, no matter if you're looking to lose 100 pounds plus or less than 10, you have to put yourself in a position where you want to take action today. Because if you get all this information I just gave you today and you're going to just do it tomorrow, you're definitely not going to do it. You are certainly not going to do it. The likelihood that you're going to do it tomorrow is very, very low if you're saying that already. That's basically another way of you saying that you're just not going to do it. So if you do need to lose 100 pounds or more, that is a tough goal. That's a long-term goal. I'm not here to tell you that you're going to accomplish that goal in the span of 3 months. But what I will tell you is that if you take the information that I gave you in this video, and if you're looking to lose even 150 pounds, if you take this information today and you adapt it to your lifestyle and you take action today, keyword today, you will see consistent results. But if you're somebody that just wants to constantly do it tomorrow no matter what, you probably shouldn't have even watched this video in the first place, because this plan that I just gave you, this blueprint, will be absolutely useless if you do not take action today. So if you want to start seeing results on a consistent monthly basis, seeing the number on the scale not just go down and stay down, with a fully customized plan that I can give to you as soon as today if you book a one-on-one call with me, then you definitely should click that link in the video description. It's the first link in the description, and you can speak with me directly and I'll fully customize a plan that is literally made just for you, your weight loss goal, and your lifestyle. But other than that, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.